Well, we continue to follow the story about Ethereum, and the SEC approves trading of those spot Ether ETFs. For that, let's discuss this ETF space. Todd Rosenbluth, head of research at VettaFi. Todd, great to see you. I was talking with someone in crypto 2 days ago, and he was so excited. He loved that everything seemed to be going in the right direction. We knew that this approval would be somewhat imminent for this week, and here it is. Why is this such a big deal?
Well, the first in the ETF marketplace is always a big deal. We're always excited when there's new asset classes and investment styles. We've got over 3,000 ETFs already trading today coming into today's event. So what's a big deal is investors, advisors that have wanted access to Ethereum now have the ability to get it through an ETF. The liquidity, the efficiency, the way to build it into a broader portfolio and have it sit with a Bitcoin related ETF or other alternatives, or perhaps to be an alternative towards technology investments because of how the Ethereum market works.
Right. And as far as the inflows, you're seeing inflows, but it's my understanding it's 10 to 20% of what we would have seen back in January when we got the okay on Bitcoin. Ethereum is not Bitcoin, but you're seeing inflows, but it's probably, 10 or 20% of what we saw then, right?
Correct. So these are two different investments. And of course, the use cases in a portfolio are going to be different. There was 10 years in the making pent up demand for spot Bitcoin ETFs, but we are seeing strong trading volume for a new ETF. There's 9 of these products that are now trading on the various exchanges around the United States. We've seen some strong action for BlackRock and Fidelity's products, Grayscale's 2 Ethereum ETFs, the more liquid one, ETHE, and then ETH, which is the lower cost, more retail-oriented product. We think this has been a great starting point, and now it's up for the education for investors, advisors to better understand how these ETFs could potentially fit into a portfolio. But yeah, this is a specialty area of the marketplace, and there's lots of other great action happening in the ETFs industry as well.
Yeah, and in addition to that, when I talked about the inflows, the value obviously is maybe a third or something like that of Bitcoin, from what I hear. I don't know how to assess that exactly, but the excitement is there, and that also Ethereum is a little more of a tech play. Is that right? I mean, they said that there's more exposure that you can almost think of as a technology play. So if you're making a portfolio and if you're really heavy in tech, maybe you don't put Ethereum because that's also somewhat of a tech play.
That's right. So for some folks that would think of Bitcoin as an alternative to gold, as a digital currency, the way that people are thinking about Ethereum is it is an alternative to technology investments. Now, of course, the technology sector is 32% of the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, the most popular ETF thus far in 2024, approaching what will be a record $50 billion already with 4+ months to go in the rest of the year. So you already have high exposure to technology stocks within your portfolio. That's why it's mindful to think how Ethereum and a spot Ether ETF from some of these firms can fit in and not have the exact same overlap. Now, you're not owning Apple and Microsoft and NVIDIA, you're owning an alternative investment.
Yeah, it's certainly exciting, and most of the folks that I speak with are very confident in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Any thoughts on Bitcoin today, how it's behaving? It's down 3.5%, how it's been behaving lately, before I get to some of the other popular ETFs that we want to take a look at.
Yeah, I'm not following the actual price of these digital currencies or alternative crypto investments. So I do know that there's obviously that's going to be driving the price. I'm just as excited that we continue to see investor interest in this and that the ETF vehicle is providing access. For folks that do believe in this investment approach, you can get access using 8 different ETF providers to get exposure to both now a Ethereum ETF as well as a spot Bitcoin ETF, and have those 2 products as appropriate fit into the portfolio.
Right. And it seems that there's also been no fees, so that people are encouraged to put their money into some of these ETFs. You may see some money exiting out of Bitcoin and into Ethereum, some fund flows that are happening there. The same type of investor would be interested in both. So no fees has been something people talked about. Also the administration. You know, if you have the current administration versus a Trump administration, I have heard quite adamantly that the Trump administration is more for the crypto play. Have you heard that? And do you think that's true?
I've heard that. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in politics. I think there is expectations that if there is a change in party and power and a change in the regulatory situation, we could see more cryptocurrency ETFs come to market that's outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think you have to be investing in these products from a strategic standpoint, how it can fit into a broader portfolio and how it can fit in with your broader equity and fixed income exposure. So if you are owning a gold ETF, you want to be mindful of how that's an alternative investment relative to stocks and bonds. If you're owning a technology sector ETF like XLK, the Technology Select Sector Spider ETF, you again want to be conscious of overplaying the technology theme within your broader portfolio. But there's lots of different ways for these strategies to fit in.
You talked about VOO, that's the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, really passing or about to pass all-time records. I didn't look at it closely, but that's one to focus on. You had other names that were very popular or in focus. Some final thoughts or names in the ETF world that you want to feature here that maybe people don't follow as closely, Todd?
Yeah, so we talked about cryptocurrency. We talked about index-based investments like the Vanguard 500. We're really excited with what we're seeing in the actively managed space in 2024. There's a number of success stories. T. Rowe Price has had success with an ETF like TCAF, TCAF. We've seen Evantis with AVUS have a lot of success. It just crossed $7 billion in assets under management. That's something we wrote about on our ETF Trends website this week. There's lots of great trends happening within the actively managed space, and we're excited at VettaFi to cover it.
Yeah. Todd Rosenbluth, great to have you on today of VettaFi. Always fun to take a look at ETFs, which obviously are huge in popularity over the many years. Thank you. And the actively managed ones, which are also very important to watch.